The Vox Markets Podcast with Justin Waite. Nothing in this podcast is intended as investment advice, and the people in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy anything based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.
Welcome to the podcast on Tuesday, the 30th of March, 2021. On the podcast today, Simon Potter, CEO of Bahamas Petroleum Company, provides a comprehensive update of operations and upcoming milestones. Also on the podcast, Dan Betts, CEO of Hummingbird Resources, talks through some of the highlights of their mineral resource estimate update for the Yanfolila Mine in Mali. Plus, Glen Goodman, former ITV News Business correspondent and now the author of The Crypto Trader, refuses to talk about his birthday, his age, and we argue about that for most of the podcast. And then we talk about his trades over the last 7 days in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. At the end of the podcast, I have two lists for you. The top 5 most followed companies on Vox Markets in the last 24 hours. And the top 5 most read RNSs too. You can check out both these lists at voxmarkets.co.uk. In fact, top 10 versions of these lists. Also, see lots of content, articles, videos. There's one there, a new group video there on Blue Star. Union Jack Oil article, plant healthcare investor presentation. And I always like to check out COVID-19 index. Biggest riser today is Tizion Life Sciences, by the looks. Biggest faller, Omega Diagnostics down. In fact, Tizion is up 19% to 118.5, and Omega's the biggest faller there, down 5.78% to 81.5. Check that out at voxmarkets.co.uk.
Vox Markets is an online community of investors that runs a free mobile and desktop platform that allows you to track news and updates about any UK-listed company, offering RNS push notifications, detailed charts, pricing data, and much more. Find out more at voxmarkets.co.uk/app.
And joining me on the podcast right now is Simon Potter, Chief Executive Officer of Bahamas Petroleum Company, BPC is ticker there. Simon, thanks for joining me.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. And you've had a busy couple of months since we last spoke, so it's good to get an update on what you've been doing. Before we get into that, Simon, for people maybe not familiar, give us a brief summary for Bahamas, because you've got lots going on there.
Okay, well, I guess as the name suggests, I mean, hitherto we've had exploration acreage just located in the Bahamas, but in the middle of 2020, in the middle of lockdown, we merged with Columbus, which then gave us production, near-term production, appraisal, and development options in Trinidad and in Suriname. Over and above that, we also, during lockdown, took exploration acreage in Uruguay. So a much more diversified portfolio than just the Bahamas in the region.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you've, like I said, a lot of upcoming activities in Trinidad and Suriname to talk about, but I suspect, people and shareholders want to hear about the Perseverance well you recently finished in the Bahamas. Can you tell us what happened there then?
Yeah, sure. Well, the first thing, I guess, is to say that we drilled it safely and in compliance with our EIA and our EMP. We drilled from sort of late December through into February, targeting Albion and Aptian reservoirs. We drilled to 3,900 metres, and the Albion looks like a deeper water facies than we were really hoping, but in terms of the Aptian reservoir, we confirmed the trap, the structure, obviously. We confirmed the seal, the reservoir, and the residual sort of uncertainties are around charge and migration. We did encounter hydrocarbons from the logs, which was calibrated, which was sort of confirmed, corroborated by gas chromatograph. And a couple of important conclusions in terms of the geothermal gradient, so how hot or cool the basin is. It's always been thought of as a cool basin. We were able to confirm temperatures such that we believe the source rock is well and truly in the oil window. And indeed, in drilling the well itself, we confirmed that notwithstanding previous wells that have taken over 200 days to drill and had huge losses whilst drilling, we confirmed that we could drill it safely and commercially with modern technologies and the well plan that we had.
Yeah. And in your recent or most recent RNS, you advise that the well cost more than planned. Can you explain what happened there then?
Yeah, sure. There were really two factors. One, not surprisingly, we were drilling with a huge headwind called COVID. What that meant for us was that we had a rigorous set of protocols where we kept people quarantined in hotels. It meant additional chartered flights and helicopters in order to keep COVID from the rig. And what it meant was that we managed to catch, if that's the right word to use, 14 positive COVID individuals trying to get onto the rig. So a very positive outcome there. The thing that we underestimated, I guess, was people that would transit back and forth to the rig. They couldn't do that because of the time that it took to transit. So we had to keep an awful lot of equipment and people on the installation that we would have usually moved backwards and forwards. The other aspect was sidetracking. Unfortunately, a piece of equipment was dropped down the hole, a piece of high tensile steel, which meant that we had to sidetrack around that in order to drill the well. So in combination, those two elements sort of added about $10 million to the original $35 million projected cost. But I guess, we persevered, we drilled the well. And just a reminder, the original cost estimates from earlier in my tenure here, we thought it was going to cost $100 million. So we did it for less than half that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, given the well results, as you say, it was not commercial. Are you still interested in the Bahamas now, or is that over with?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, we've spent $150 million here. And so we're looking to monetize that with the modern information that we've collected, the well results in conjunction with the seismic. So looking to farm that out and renew the license in the middle of the year. That renewal is subject to a relinquishment. But just a reminder for shareholders, it's a huge area. Even after relinquishment, it'll still be 6,000 square kilometers. And of course, there's lots of anecdotes about how long it took to find the oil in the North Sea or Alaska, and how long it takes to find the biggest discovery in those basins. So, we're hugely optimistic. I think certainly with the new geochemical data and placing the Jurassic source in the oil window, we think that certainly the new play type is with us. Jurassic clastics deeper into the section. So full of optimism around new closures, new structures that we haven't drilled. So lots of optimism in renewing that license.
Yeah, marvellous stuff. Okay, let's move to Trinidad then. You have drilling plans soon, the Saffron 2 well. So what should shareholders watch out for from this well, Simon? Yeah,
this is quite exciting. I mean, it's in direct contrast to the Perseverance well. Saffron's onshore. It's a twin of a well drilled by Columbus roughly a year ago now. So we've utilised the same well pad to reduce costs, but equally it gives us a high sort of certainty as to the geology that we're going to encounter. We've targeted the well slightly down dip at a thicker reservoir section, and it'll take 30 days to drill starting in sort of mid-May and cost us around $3 million. And of course, in contrast again to Perseverance, that $3 million includes a completion, so we can actually produce oil out of this well. So we're hoping for between 200 and 300 barrels a day, which may sound modest, but our current production sits at about 450 to 500 barrels a day. So this would add 50%. To our current production base. And, the important thing is being onshore with a short cycle time, we can monetize that very quickly. And we're thinking that this could generate nearly $2 million of incremental cash during the course of this year. In the event of success, we could then follow on with a broader development of Saffron, which could be between 5 and 9 wells during the course of 2021. That's all dependent on rigs, approvals, can we clear the pads, that kind of thing. And if we manage to get that kind of level of wells drilled, then it could be over 1,000 barrels a day to us by the end of the year, which again, by the end of the year could be on an annualized basis yielding $8 to $12 million. And of course, that's a portent to a full field development, which could be up to 30 wells. Our reservoir modeling indicates up to 4,000 barrels a day, which would yield $25 million of cash per year. So exciting times in Trinidad. Another well coming along within the next month or two. And in direct contrast to the Bahamas, onshore, cheaper, and straight into production.
Yeah, absolutely. And apart from Saffron 2, what can you tell us about the rest of your business there in Trinidad then, Simon?
Well, we've got a number of production optimization projects. So we're using our 2 owned rigs. We're up to the kind of workover rate that Columbus were achieving a couple of years ago, 180 a year. We're trying to focus more on interventions that allow us to add perforations to sweep unswept oil rather than fixing stuff. We're also looking to kind of catch up with other operators in Trinidad with an automation project that we're doing with Weatherford that essentially more automates the production systems, the pumps, etc. And then over and above that, we're continuing with the CO2 injection project. And then really saffron lookalikes. You know, how many other saffrons are there out there? How many pockets of sort of 9 to 10 million barrels are there for us to sweep up in the southwest peninsula of Trinidad? So we've reprocessed the 3D and are working hard on highlighting potential prospects that we can drill later in the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And anything else going on for the rest of the portfolio, Suriname and Uruguay?
Well, in Suriname, we're held up a bit by COVID. We're looking to manage the project in Suriname out of Trinidad, but being able to move our people over there at the moment is difficult with the various restrictions applying to COVID. But that being said, we've identified the potential well site. We've scoped out the owners. We've got rig contracts are out. So we're ready to drill there, and that's relatively simple. That's down to 1,000 meters. It's $400,000. It's an extended well test. We'll drill into what we think is an pocket of unswept oil, produce that, and sell it to the local refinery. Uruguay, that's very much like the Bahamas, high impact offshore exploration. We did scoping analysis before we took the license, and we've been encouraged by work being done by ANCAP, the regulator, that confirms the sort of level of prospectivity within the license area. We thought around 1 billion barrels was appropriate, and they themselves have identified the Lentea prospect, and they've identified 1.4 billion barrels of recoverable oil there. So lots of work going on in other parts of the portfolio.
Yeah, it seems like you're full slate of activity for the rest of 2021, notwithstanding the outcome of Perseverance 1. An obvious question then, following on here is, are you funded for it all?
Well, clearly we've got a whole bunch of uses, let's say, in the sense that we still got bills to pay with regard to cleaning up the Perseverance 1 drilling project. Then we've got the Saffron 2, and as I sort of highlighted, a whole number of other options. So we've got between $25 and $40 million of uses. So what are the sources? A reminder though that we have these interests at 100%. So in terms of the pace and the extent to which we carry them out, that's entirely within our own decisions. So that's why there's a range on that uses figure. But in terms of sources, well, of course, given that we've got production, we actually receive cash. And that's over and above the cash that we have at the moment. As at the start of March, we had $13 million in the bank. We had a $14 million undrawn convertible. And then, as I've highlighted, we're looking to farm out the Bahamas prospect, monetize that interest. We've got a project that we're looking at whereby we can forward sell the oil in a prepay project, prepay kind of contract. And of course, there's always other aspects of the portfolio that has been used before where, other companies have we've been able to drill for equity, shall we say. We drill and we provide equity to the suppliers of these things. So, certainly a rich portfolio of uses, but quite a range of sources, and we'll cut our cloth accordingly.
Yeah. Let's say that not many, small companies have managed to put together a funding strategy to pull off activities that you have, 100% interest in a frontier exploration well. But there's been some negative commentary of certain aspects. Any thoughts on that, Simon?
Well, sure. I guess we've always, tried to articulate our strategy with regard to funding, and we've always sought to have a range of facilities that gave us a whole series of options. But the most important part of it was with regard to the timing of those options. What we always wanted was, not to be paying for a facility until we needed it. And of course, we didn't need most of these facilities until drilling commenced. And it would be at that time that we would enact these facilities. Well, of course, we get through to Christmas and we encounter somewhat the perfect storm. We have a rig arriving, Christmas has intervened, and we have uncertainty. We were taken through the courts where a group of individuals sought to prevent us from drilling with an injunction. And so this uncertainty meant that a number of the funding options that we put together actually then became not available. And of course, at that time, you do what you can do. And so access to hedge fund capital is not cheap, but they were able to provide it quickly. And so in that context, we did what we had to do. And indeed, we got the well drilled.
Yeah, absolutely. Marvellous stuff. Well, Simon, let's have 3 reasons. If someone's liking the sound of what you're doing, the activities across the portfolio, but are not yet following the story, give them those 3 quick reasons why they should hit that follow button and add you to their watch list, please.
Well, I think the first thing would be news flow. I mean, hopefully I've been able to highlight a full slate of activity for 2021, but commencing within the next month or two with Saffron. But then after that, there's the potential to do the Saffron development, Saffron lookalikes, and then the extended well test. So, a full slate, and it's in the immediate short term. The second thing would be the share price. Since drilling Perseverance, the share price has fallen quite considerably. And indeed, it's fully underpinned now by the existing production activities that we have in Trinidad. So the third thing would be upside. Over and above that share price that's underpinned by production, everything is gravy, as it were. Everything is upside. So Saffron, Bahamas, Uruguay, and the Suriname outcomes are additive to where that current share price is. So strong news flow, a modest share price at the moment, but then strong upside to be priced in.
Excellent stuff, Simon. It's good to chat to you, and hopefully we'll be catching up in the not-too-distant future. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
The Vox Markets Podcast with Justin Waite.
And joining me on the podcast right now is Daniel Bett, CEO of Hummingbird Resources, HUM, ticker there. Dan, thanks for joining me.
Hi, Justin. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and you've published a mineral resource estimate update on your Yanfolila mine in Mali. We'll discuss the detail of that in a bit. There's a lot in there. Hopefully you can bring out and highlight the most significant points from that. Before we do, Dan, it's not just about Mali. Of course, you've got quite a few things going on. Just summarise the business for people not familiar, if you could.
So Hummingbird Resources is a gold mining company with a gold mine at Yanfolila in Mali and a development project in Guinea called Carusa, and an advanced exploration development project in Liberia called Dubi that's being progressed with our joint venture partner, Pasofino. So we have 3 diverse assets, and we're strongly a growth stock in the gold sector.
Yeah, and I was looking at this updated mineral resource estimate for Yanfolila, and I thought, you've done a lot of work, and there's a lot of findings, a lot of data there. And so, for people maybe, struggling to get through all that data and trying to figure out what's the most important bit there, can you give us an overview of the key highlights and the findings, Dan?
Yeah, sure. So in 2020 was the first season we really applied our mind to exploration seriously, because we'd been dealing with commissioning the plant and the operational startup of the mine. So 2020 was important for us to show that the mining permit had potential to expand the mineral resources, because the mineral resources ultimately provide the reserves which go into the mine plan and provide your mine life. And one of the biggest criticisms of Yanfolila is a short mine life. So the 2020 exploration program was aimed to prove there were more resources, but also to improve the confidence in our existing resources. And to break that down, because as you say, it's a complicated announcement with an awful lot of data, I think that's just showing how much work goes into these things, but also the fact that Yanfolila has a number of deposits and they all need to be updated. So the summary is the last mineral resource update in 2019, and since that date, we have depleted the resource by 258,000 ounces. And during 2020, we discovered 255,000 ounces. So almost exactly net even in terms of recovering ounces that we've mined. And not only that, only a portion of that $5 million budget was spent on exploration drilling to discover new resources. The rest of the budget was spent on infill drilling and remodeling and reworking our existing database. So the second bit to the announcement is that some of the old resources that were non-code compliant, they were non-JORC compliant, when we inherited them from Goldfields, they were an in-house Goldfields estimation. Those have been remodeled and either upgraded to JORC where the confidence exists to do that, or excluded from the resource. And that has resulted in some changes to the resource model. So I think if you look on slide 3 of the announcement, it says non-code geological model minus 114,000 ounces and then 43,000 ounces added in to do with density measurements and other technical changes to the modeling. So net, I think you've got a great result here. You've got clear exploration success that showcases a path to much more success, open deposits, new discoveries, and an increased exploration budget. And you've got a much cleaner, more robust and more straightforward mineral resource inventory going forward.
Yeah. So you said that one of the criticisms was the life of mine, potential life of mine. So how does that change this now?
Well, I mean, this is a resource update as opposed to a reserve update. There's a lot more work that goes into turning those resources into reserves. Obviously, you have to do all your pit designs and geotechnical work and economic studies. But what you've shown is there is more gold in the known deposits, which we anticipate to be mineable anyway. So if you can add effectively 2 years worth of gold for 1 year's worth of mining on a small budget, and this year we're doubling the budget, and this year's budget is focused more on exploration to add ounces, and we have better targets because we've done work on them. I think it's an emerging, quite exciting story, to be honest. We have no debt, and every year, or virtually no debt, and every year of mine life that you add is completely tangible NPV and cash flow straight onto the bottom line of the company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so looking forward now for the rest of the year, maybe even beyond that, just map out what you'll be doing then, Dan.
Well, in terms of exploration, I mean, we didn't really stop. I mean, we've been hard at it. You just need to have a cutoff point. And I mean, the two main target areas from this program were to prove up and extend the Kamana East underground potential. Mm-hmm. And we are looking to extend that to the north during 2021. And also the Sanamali East deposit is probably been the biggest surprise that has grown significantly, and that has shown new zones and really quite exciting grades and intersections. So we are drilling that aggressively at the moment. Yeah. And our first results are starting to come through, which we will be releasing as and when they come through and they're organized and we can release them to the market. So I think there's a much more aggressive exploration program ongoing, which will mean a lot more news flow on that side of things. And hopefully that will translate into a longer mine life and more confidence in the ongoing prospects at Yanfolila, and in turn the ongoing valuation.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I let you go, I'll give you 3 reasons. In fact, this may be one of them. I always ask your opinion here on the gold price. Could you fathom what's going on there? Because I can't. I'd expect it to be up with Bitcoin, really. But
I mean, I guess that's for investors to make their own mind up on. I have to say, I'm very confused. I read somewhere there's been $20 trillion of of liquidity pumped into the global markets during COVID, and Bitcoin's at $60,000 and gold's off 15% from its highs. I can't get it, Justin. It must be money chasing yield or something, and hopefully it will come back when we get a big print on inflation. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. So that's it's not for me to say.
But as a contrarian play, that's a good time to invest in gold miners, isn't it? When the gold price is down, because once it starts rallying, it's too late. Then the miners are leveraged with that anyway, and they move ahead of it, don't they? Really,
And these things can move pretty quickly. I mean, you look at other markets and other commodities, and some of the runs that have been going on. I mean, they've been spectacular. But I agree with that. I think gold miners have been absolutely hammered. I mean, even sort of Barrick's off about 40%, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's pretty staggering sell-off in the gold space, and as I say, it's not for me to say, but if you're a believer in gold, there must be good news ahead, mustn't there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, okay, let's get into 3 reasons then. If someone's listening, likes the sound of what you're doing, Dan, progress you're making, but are not yet following the story, give them 3 quick reasons why they should hit that follow button on your page on Vox Markets and add Hummingbird Resources to their watch list, please.
Well, I think the 3 reasons to stress would be at Yanfolila, we are looking to improve our operational performance steadily throughout the year. I mean, at the start of the year, we guided towards a stronger second half of the year, and we're still on track to improve our operational performance as the year goes on. So that should unwind some value in the operational performance. The exploration story at Yanfolila is gathering pace, and we're investing heavily in that. And I think that we can look forward to lots of news flow on that side of it. And I think probably the biggest piece is the growth prospects for Hummingbird outside of Yanfolila, the development project in Guinea and our joint venture prospects in Liberia. Both, I think, have tremendous value that is not, to my mind, recognised in the Hummingbird share price at all at the moment. So we really want to get marketing those and start showcasing that value.
Excellent stuff. Dan, good to chat to you, and hopefully be catching up in the not-too-distant future. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Justin.
The Vox Markets Podcast with Justin Waite.
And joining me on the podcast right now is Glen Goodman. He's the crypto trader. And Glen, how old are you?
I don't know. Aged. No, young. Somewhere in the middle of old and young.
I'm always wary. Not weary, I'm weary as well. But I'm always, wary of people who don't give their age. Blokes. It's a bit worrisome.
We've had this entire,
you look young for your age, don't worry about it.
We're doing an old episode here because we've literally had this exact conversation in a previous episode.
We are doing an old episode. Yes, we are doing an old episode. We're reminding people of how weary people should be of other people who don't give their age. What's the problem? Why are you trying to give it up? For me, there's a level of transparency there. It's an issue. Tell me your age. What's the problem? Why are you blocking this?
Because I hate.
Right, the fact you're blocking this means you're not transparent. You're not honest. On this level, you won't be honest on anything else either. So it goes to the heart of honesty. I see people on Twitter all the time. All the abuse I get on Twitter is from people who don't have their real name, don't have the real picture. And I thought, do you know what? The fact that you're not transparent on those levels means I can't trust you on other levels either.
It's interesting because that's the Piers Morgan theory that you've just come out with there. Piers Morgan's
theory. It's not Piers Morgan's theory at all.
Piers Morgan found that Meghan Markle had said a number of things that just blatantly weren't true in that interview she did with Oprah Winfrey. They were kind of small untruths that she may or may not have done on purpose. She may not have said them on purpose.
Hang on. Listen now. The sod Piers Morgan. It's not about that.
He didn't believe her about anything. So, I mean, I have some sympathy with that view, actually. If she's been found to say some things that aren't true, then maybe he's right to assume that everything she says isn't true. His mistake was...
Well, on that level, of course. Hey, listen.
Hold on.
When you were doing it that publicly...
that she wasn't even being true about her saying that she had... mental health issues, that she was feeling suicidal. So he was kind of saying, I even doubt her on that. And that's where he got in massive trouble with ITV, and they wanted him to apologise.
Why are you dragging this back? Hang on, you're obsessed with the Royals. Why are we dragging this back to a royal interview?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, at what level does a lie become acceptable, or a mistruth, or a block, or economic? When she's on,
it's fair enough to
when she's on that level of publicity.
Tell us everything about yourself.
No, when she
audited, published results.
Listen to me. I don't need to do that. What do I need to do that for?
What?
I don't need to do that. When you're doing a public interview and you lie in a public interview like she did, she did do it, I don't know. That's what Piers Morgan said. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not getting into that bit. But if you are going to be,
she may have made some mistakes.
But when it's not public, the world is watching. You'd think, if you're an honest person, you'd be honest there, because someone's going to dig it up and find out. So at what level? So Glenn, how old are you? How old are you? Because there's something else after this. We haven't even got past the first point yet.
You see, this is the thing. You see, if I start just giving in to you and just answering,
I can't move it on. I can't move it on to the next point.
No relevance whatsoever to why I'm doing the interview.
This wasn't the point.
Asking me more. You're going to
this
more personal
wasn't the point. I wanted to move on from something else.
Okay, let's move on.
You're 50, aren't you?
No, I'm bloody not.
You are 50.
I'll tell you that much.
Are you older? You're older than 50. You're older than 50. Are you above 45?
I'm not answering any more yes no answers. I said I'm below 50. I'm not going any further.
You're above 40. I know that.
Huh?
And you went to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. This is what I'm trying to get on to. You went to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, Ben. You're too old for that. I don't know what kind of job you're doing.
What all of this is about?
Yeah. You messed the entire thing up. You could have gone, I'm 45, and I would have moved on then. But now we've gone into Piers Morgan's theory, but it's not a theory. It's just if you're a liar, you're a liar. Let's be honest. And I never get any nasty tweets or trolls from anyone on Twitter who's got their name and face on there. But I'm not saying everyone who doesn't use their face or name is a troll, but I'm saying they are the people who are trolls do not use their real name and face, and that means they can hide behind it. So what I'm saying, what are you hiding behind here? Anyway, moving on, right? What I'm saying, Glenn,
is between 40 and 50, yes.
Right,
but,
48, 49. Right, so you are going to bed at 3 o'clock hang on, you're going to bed. Listen, this is unlistenable. You're going to bed at 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of job?
I don't usually, but I did go to bed at 3 a.m. last night. Yeah. So when you emailed me to say, can I do the podcast at an earlier time, I was not awake to receive that email.
Well, the early time is generally when everyone else is up and done, a couple of hours work. It's 10 o'clock. It's not like I'm asking you at 7 a.m. Listen,
fair enough.
It
was 10 o'clock.
All right, let's move on here. Is this related to trading?
It was actually, but not that I was staying up all night staring at the markets, because that's not my style. Not my style.
What were you staring at then? At 3 a.m?
I was doing research, and I was finding that the market, it looked like the crypto markets were shortly going to break out. Not all of them necessarily, but some of them. Some of those cryptos looked like something exciting was about to happen. So I was looking at a bunch of different cryptos and trying to decide which were the best ones to go for, to set orders for. So I set buy orders in the market, which would trigger at a slightly higher price than the current market prices. And then I went to sleep at 3 o'clock. And when I woke up at 10, but when I woke up at 10, a short time ago, some of those buy orders had triggered. So I'm now the proud owner of a bunch of different cryptos that I didn't own before.
How many? Did you jump out of Bitcoin, or did you get back in? What happened there?
I am currently, Bitcoin, as we speak, has actually just broken out of a trading range and is looking a hell of a lot more positive than it was when we were talking about it last week. What a difference a week makes, Justin. So, but actually, I decided to offload Bitcoin and put money into these various other cryptos instead, because some of them just have more momentum. And well, it was just a simple financial calculation. I just reckoned I could make more money by putting the same money in some of these other cryptos than I was in Bitcoin. So that's what I've done. and they're doing quite well.
What are you in?
ZRX, a BNB, ETC, BAT.
What is this? Whoa, hang on. What? Whoa.
Those are the new ones.
You may as well just say numbers. I don't know what that means.
That's like somebody saying GSK for GlaxoSmithKline.
It's not really, because GSK is now rebranded GSK. So, so what, can you give names or what?
Oh, well, what, do you want to discuss each of them individually?
No, what are the names of them? I don't know. I may have heard of that. I don't know the tickers of these cryptos really. So I know obviously the main guys, the main ladies. Whether is a crypto, is it female or male? I don't know. I know BTC and ETH and all that, but the rest of them, I don't know.
Okay, right. Well, first of all, ZRX is 0x, which is a crypto that's actually been around for quite a while. I met the boss of Zero. Oh, well, not the boss, but one of the founders of ZeroX. It was founded in 2016, and it is it's another Ethereum decentralized exchange protocol supporting both fungible and non-fungible tokens. It's techie stuff, kind of like Ethereum itself in that sense. BNB is the exchange Binance's own coin, which is used for transacting, or some people use it for transacting on the platform, for buying and selling things. You get a discount on trading fees when you use BNB to pay instead of dollars or any other currency. ETC is Ethereum Classic, which is a spin-off from Ethereum. It span off some years ago. The idea was it would have certain improvements over the original Ethereum. It hasn't taken off in a major way, but the price is now looking quite decent again, so maybe there's a renewal of interest there, which is what got me interested as well. And so on and so on. I don't want to go on any further because I think it's getting a bit boring, isn't it?
Yeah, but so when you do these, I mean, do you have upside limits? Do you have percentage gains you're hoping to achieve?
I'm working on a new strategy at the moment, which I suppose I've been kind of gravitating towards for a couple of years now. A sort of a mixture of swing trading and traditional trend following. I've always been a trend follower, right? I'm somebody who buys when a trend has started, a price trend, and then I own it until the price trend ends. And sometimes that can be years, depending on what kind of trend we're talking about. If it was something like Amazon, I might be a holder for years and years, as it just goes up and up and up and doesn't have any major drawdowns for quite a long time. The swing bit is something I've been getting more into in recent years, which is not exactly spotting the tops and the bottoms, but it's looking at those patterns that I know you like to look at as well sometimes, the triangles and the patterns that are formed by support and resistance levels on a chart, which allow you to identify when a change of direction might be about to happen and a breakout might occur. So I'm trying to combine those two strategies so that I basically buy the breakouts, I buy the swing near the beginning of a trend, and then I hold for a while, and after a certain amount of growth, basically I look for sort of parabolic growth, a sort of a climax of growth, and then I will sell maybe half of my holding to lock in some profits, and then I will allow the rest of the position to swing wildly around, which allows it the room to possibly correct massively and then go up even more massively. Because if you want to catch those big trends, you sometimes have to allow for massive corrections. But that's very hard to do if you're trading with your entire position, because nobody wants to lose all the profit they've just made. So by selling half, or even a third along the way, it kind of gives you the peace of mind that allows you to allow the rest of your position to keep moving around, to keep jiggling about wildly. Do you see?
Yes.
Good.
So you're a swing trader?
it's sort of a mixture of swing and trend, because it just psychologically it's more comfortable. That's the main reason. It's not necessarily a more profitable strategy than pure trend following, but pure trend following, as I discovered over many years of doing it, is just damn hard to do as a human being, because you go through such massive gains and losses. So, you can make 100% profit in a year, say, and then the following year, if you're a long-term trend follower, you can lose 30%. I mean, it's a painful process to lose a lot of money over the course of an entire year. That's a year of misery, even if the longer term makes up for it and you make loads of money in the longer term. It's just not a way that I or most people would want to live their lives. It's too miserable.
I see. So I don't understand what. So how many did you invest in overnight? You said how many cryptos?
Let's see. Oh, I already had 2 of these when I went to sleep, so it was actually 4 positions open during the night to make. Yeah, that's right, 4, because the 2 I had opened previously. So that's 6 in total there.
And so what I'm saying is,
well, I've got a bunch of other open orders. Sorry, I just had a sip of water. I've still got another 5 or 6 open orders that might trigger at any point, and then I'll be in like 11 cryptos potentially, which is quite a lot.
So any one of these trades, right, obviously you don't need to discuss how much you put into it or whatever, but do they have the potential to make you a decent amount of money, or just enough? Is it enough to make you sort of, for example, a yearly wage in one go, or is it a weekly wage in one go?
I mean, there's the potential to make a yearly wage in one go, because a lot of these cryptos, in fact, a lot of cryptos full stop, have gone up by 10 times or more just in the past few months. 10 times. They're moving far faster than nearly everything in the stock market. And there is the potential for them still to go further, because the trend is still upwards. There's no sign of it changing at the moment. Despite our fears about Bitcoin last week, which turned out to be at least temporarily unfounded, the trend for cryptos generally is still very much an upward one. Yeah. So it makes sense to, just because something's already gone up 10 times doesn't mean it can't go up another 10 times over, which would make, 100 times in total. But that's the kind of thing we saw in 2017 with some regularity. So we can't rule it out this time.
Yeah, but do you think Bitcoin's going to go up by 10 times again?
No, Bitcoin, no, because it's already far too massive. It's already worth more than $1 trillion. So massive. Bitcoin can't go up another 10 times without.
It's running again, though, isn't it?
The entire world. I mean, Bitcoin could go up. Hold on. I shouldn't have said no. That definitely can't happen. Bitcoin could go up another 10 times, but you have to understand that if it did, that would be a major world impacting event. That would be like, this coin is now the most important currency. It would have massive global economic implications.
It's not a currency, is it?
Well, it would be one if
no, but it's an asset, isn't it? Is it an asset rather than currency? Because at the
moment, it's an asset, yeah. But the point is, if it were to go up another 10 times, that would imply that it has probably
less of a currency, surely, because people wouldn't be trading it as a currency, because it's too expensive to use as a currency, isn't it? It appreciates too quickly. Like I was saying, you've got a chance here. Like that burger now that was first bought was Bitcoin is worth how much now compared to they paid 1 Bitcoin for it? That pizza was bought early on.
Yeah. Actually, that you raise an interesting point, which actually neatly segues into a piece of news from this week, which is that Tesla announced that they're not. That Tesla has got. Hold on, let's see. When was it announced? Yeah, it was during this past week.
We didn't mention that Tesla. You can buy Bitcoin now, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. We didn't mention that on last week's podcast, no, because it hadn't happened yet. So yeah, Tesla has announced that you can now buy Teslas using Bitcoin, which is all well and good, and it makes it sound like Bitcoin is a proper currency. But here's the thing: when an intrepid young reporter looked into it, he sort of looked into or tried to buy a Tesla using Bitcoin, what he found was it ain't that simple. Because according to the company's Bitcoin payment terms and conditions, Bitcoin transactions must be completed within a certain window of time, or else the price in BTC expires and the buyer must ask for a new price. A Tesla representative said, you have about 30 minutes to make a payment. So basically, you're told, you ask, how much does this Tesla cost? Oh, it costs so-and-so number of Bitcoins. Oh, okay, thank you very much. Here is so-and-so number of Bitcoins, you say to them 32 minutes later, and they say, oh no, that price has expired, I'm afraid. The price has changed. So it's like living in a world of hyperinflation, where every time you go to the shop, the price is different from what it was last time. That's rubbish, isn't it, really? That's a rubbish situation.
Yeah. So what are you saying? It's just a novelty? What's the deal?
Basically, yeah.
And also, wasn't the returns the same? If you return the car, there was also another snag there. Apparently, if you returned it, they could choose to pay you. If you paid in Bitcoin, they could choose to give you back in Bitcoin or not.
Yes, that's right. Hold on, there was something about that, wasn't there?
I'd say basically it's a novelty, because if you're serious, you're not going to buy something in Bitcoin, because like I say, you could be paying twice that Bitcoin could be worth a lot more than the car in a year's time if the trend is such as it has been. So you're not going to do that. And again, it could be, from Tesla's point of view, they hold a bit of Bitcoin as well, don't they? So if they if the Bitcoin suddenly went down by halved overnight, then people who just bought that car would be laughing. I just bought the car for like $20,000 when it was $50,000 last week.
Actually, I like the last bit of the Intrepid Young Reporter's article as well, where he says he was asked. He asked the Tesla representative whether there had been any interest from Bitcoiners since Elon Musk tweeted that you could buy Teslas using Bitcoin. They'd had a week by that point to buy their Tesla. He said, not quite sure if anything's sold yet in Bitcoin, which I guess means probably not. Probably nobody has bought their Tesla using Bitcoin yet. But I'm sure somebody will, just for, some billionaire, just for the novelty value, like they have with those NFTs we were talking about last week. But yeah, it's novelty.
Yeah. But
it's not proper money, is it, really?
Not really. It's not a currency.
Bitcoin could be. It has the potential, as I've always said, to be proper money. But it's got
to become a bit more boring. It's got to flatten out and not trade around too much. It's got to be stable for a long time.
And that can take a lot of years, couldn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well,
because it's nowhere near flattening out yet.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be stable for a while, and. It's an asset. It's not a currency.
Yeah. And I love it as an asset. I love you, Bitcoin, as an asset, but only as an asset.
When you do your trading and all that stuff, do you do year to year or month to month, accounts to see how you've done, or just do you rely on your just looking at your trading accounts?
I'm a bit lax, to be honest. I do it kind of as and when I need to, when I have to fill in my tax return, that kind of thing. Because I don't have any clients, because I just trade for myself, I don't have any obligation to kind of work things out sensibly in that way. How much do I earn per month and that kind of thing. It is good practice to do that, actually, for traders, and a lot of legendary traders would be shocked that I am lax on that score. It's a bit crap of me, I have to admit. Because keeping good track of how you're doing is obviously helps you to identify flaws in your trading, and I'm not doing that. So I'm probably missing some flaws. I need to do my knitting, don't I?
Stick
my knitting.
Well, to be honest, if you're automating stuff, why do you need to step to 3 a.m?
Because I hadn't decided.
I think if you
automate yet, I hadn't decided which orders to place, and
you were up till 3 a.m. working that out.
Because things were changing in the market, and I wanted to watch to see what patterns were forming, so that then I could decide where to put my buy orders in the market. I didn't really need to stay up till 3 a.m. I chose to because I had that luxury, because I work for myself, but. Strictly speaking, I didn't need to, and if I had a full-time job, I definitely wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I think you need to be a bit more organised, Glenn. To be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, you sound like you're a last-minute crazy loon who's just working on impulse and caffeine. In fact, like many crypto traders, bleary-eyed in the middle of the night because the market doesn't shut. They just, I can't miss a tick here. Bitcoin's going to the moon. More coffee. In fact, they'd have a monster drink or some kind of alcohol-filled canned drink, sort of caffeine-filled.
Well, it paid off though. I made good profits.
How much?
I don't talk numbers. Let's just say
I made £15.
I don't know, enough to go on holiday.
To where? To Wales.
Yeah, enough to go on holiday. Well, I don't know. I've made good profits since last night, so it was worth it. It was worth staying up because I probably wouldn't have got into a couple of those cryptos had I not stayed up to watch what was happening in advance.
Are you in your pajamas? Now, have you actually got out of bed and had washed and stuff, or you just?
No, I've done that.
You haven't, have you?
I have. I have. My wife helped. She made me breakfast.
She helped? What, she give you a bed bath or something? That's how I imagine. Come on, Glenn, let's get the sponge down there. Come on, I know you don't like it, but come on.
Got to get yourself nice and clean for Justin.
Yeah, come on, I know it's on a podcast, but let's start off with the right attitude. Let's just cleanse ourselves a little bit. You've been dirty trading all night, Glenn. Well, that's what you call it. Looking at your screen all night. What does your wife do when you're up at 3 a.m, dirty trading?
Well, she's asleep.
Does she feel cheated on because you're up there watching her share a screen and dirty trading?
Oh, God.
Glenn, are you going to bed? Are you dirty trading? Oh, I've been long, dear. It's Bitcoin. It's going to go to the moon.
Do you talk like this to your other clients? I mean, not that I am a client. I guess that's the key point here, isn't it? I'm not a client.
This is yeah. I get a CEO of a sort of gold company on, and I talk to him exactly the same.
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. No, but that's why I enjoy having you on, Glenn. A bit of banter.
Yeah.
Nearly 50. 50
Not nearly, nowhere near 50.
You are 50.
I'm nowhere near.
Nowhere near. You're between 45 and 50.
No, I said I'm between 40 and 50. I didn't say between 45 and 50.
You are between 40.
You said that. You said that.
You are between 45 and 50, though.
No.
Right. Glen Goodman. Let's Google it.
Oh, shit. Just stop it. Leave me alone.
Glen Goodman is the author of The Crypto Trader, published in others.
You won't find anything. It doesn't say my age.
Glen Goodman is 48 years of age. There we are.
No, I'm not. I'm younger.
Yeah, they go right. Harry Manhouse got it wrong then.
They never said that. You're making it up. I'm not falling for your tricks.
Yeah, it is. Glen Goodman is 53. There we are.
No.
There we are, spot on. Lovely. Right. Now, Glenn, do us a favour, get a system where you go to bed normal time and wake up at a normal hour and have a wash.
I usually do. Sorry, I just want to make clear, that was very unusual. I hardly ever stay up that late. In fact, probably once a year, if that. So there you go.
2008, right? How long ago was that?
That was 13 years ago now, Justin.
Okay, so that you left the job in his 30s. So 30s, there we are. So it was,
No, I didn't leave my job in 2008. I left my job in 2012. So that's 9 years ago.
And you were 35 then?
No, it didn't say that. It doesn't say I was 35. It says I was in my 30s.
You were in 30. I can't say. You're like a little old lady. Like a little old woman who's scared to say her age.
I'm like,
I'm not that old. I'm still got plenty of years.
My mother-in-law won't say her age, and I take the piss out of her, and I'm like, I guffaw about her to my wife.
I understand a lady. I understand a lady.
It is sad.
No, but I understand a lady because we do. We're more superficial when it's a two-tiered system. And I feel sorry for. I don't feel sorry for, but I mean, you got to have sympathy for people who are judged on their looks, and mainly women are. In this day and age, it's really sad that you'll get elder guys on TV anchoring a TV show, and the sidekick is a lady who's 20 years the junior, and that happens in America a lot. You've got to be young in America. And it's really bad, isn't it? I mean, double standards.
It's getting better on British TV at least, but you're right. In America, there are still loads of news couples who are sort of massive differences in age.
But that's why... I think women are protective of their age because they're judged on it a lot more. But as men, don't be so vain. It should be your brains and your wisdom, Glenn.
All right, I'm 47, okay?
I knew that.
Did you?
No, I didn't. Okay, there we are. That's the end of the podcast. We stayed at half an hour.
For being older, because you're like 50, aren't you?
This is half an hour we spend. Half an hour. And we got there in the end. Usually at the end of the podcast, you say 47.
But you're 50, right?
I'm not telling you. Thanks, Glenn. Cheers for that. Speak next week. Okay, it's time for the top 5 most followed companies on Vox Market in the last 24 hours. They are at 5, Conduit Capital. I always have a problem saying that. Conduit. Yeah, with a T on the end. Anyway, the ticker is CCAP. It's a lot easier. That's down 13% to 1.075. At 4, Tiziana Life Sciences up 19% to 118.5. At 3, My Health Checked, non-mover, 4.3 pence. At 2, Echo Energy. It's an old gag, that. It's not even a gag, to be honest. I'm giving it a bit too much praise there. It's up 36 or 37% to 1.04. And at 1, Shield Therapeutics up 9% to 38.15. Okay, top 5 most read RNSs are as follows. At 5, Bite to Play, revised mine and plan investment presentation at Vast Resources. At 4, Greatland Gold, new license applications at Ernest Giles Project. At 3, Tiziana, FDA follows Formulab treatment for new SPMS patient. At 2, P2 study in moderate to severe COVID patients 19. And at 1, Tiziana, Acoustum update. So there's 3 updates there from Tiziana in the top 3. And that's why it's rising, I suspect. That's it for the podcast. Thanks for listening. Muchos appreciato.
The Vox Markets Podcast with Justin Waite. Nothing in this podcast is intended as investment advice, and the people in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy anything based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.